CS greetings, CS guys. It is I Extremes. It is him. Whoa, wait, him. Prophecy.
Is it me? Is it
Yeah.
me?
Is it me you're looking for?
No, definitely not.
No, I wouldn't imagine not with the silly hat, but
Ugh. No, cowboy hat maybe.
didn't know you were into those types. But anyway, this is CSGO Deeper, sponsored by Aperture PC. We're doing it in a shorter, abbreviated format, pre-recorded, of course, because it is Rage Week and there's lots of busy work going on, lots of mining for stats and watching demos and practicing for casting and article writing and all of those, and interviews, all those many things, lots of things going on. So we're very excited for Rage, of course, and we're very excited for the ESL African CSGO Championship Finals. So excited. Gushing?
Very, very excited. No,
not quite gushing.
Quietly confident. I want to definitely see Energy versus BBD on LAN. As it is, I don't know if we're going to get it. Unfortunately, teams like Limitless stand in the way.
Yeah, I think it's unlikely that we will. Of course, we do also have Pansy who will be casting as well. Moses not able to make it, unfortunately, which is a huge shame. I was waiting for him to mansplain everything to me about CSGO, but now it's not going to happen.
No dice. Yeah, no dice.
I mean, I wanted to know as a fellow bald eagle just how to carry oneself hatless, and I'm not going to get that information. It's a shame.
I mean, isn't the reason that you wear your hat so that you look better than him?
Well, yeah, this is true. Yeah, I think that's a real shame, but we still got Pansy, and she still brings a wealth of knowledge casting for ESL. So definitely think it's going to be a great final and third place playoff, which you'll be covering. I'll be doing one of the 2:00 match with Energy and Limitless, and then we've got Wham and Hayes will be covering. Well, I'm doing it with Anthrax, by the way. I left his name out. Sorry, I'm casting with.
Better
Anthrax.
Not forget that name.
No, I can't. I mean, Anthrax will wreck me, man, and I love that guy. I don't want to be wrecked by him or to wreck him. But
I think he'd wreck you just anyway.
This is true. Don't mess with Barry. And we got Wham and Hayes covering the first game on Friday. That's a 10:30, 11 game, and that's Bravado versus Vibora. So I think after talking about 2 whole seasons of online play that have happened, the difference for season 2, of course, was that there was a North African conference and a South African conference. We also had 7 weeks of group play, so it was a pretty grueling tournament, a long tournament with a lot of drama and a lot of different results that took us by surprise, results that didn't take us by surprise, and just a ton of games. And of course, we worked on all those broadcasts just about. I mean, you missed a few, but by and large, it's hard work.
Yeah, very, very hard work. Those late nights were not fun sometimes.
The 2:00 in the morning North African special, sometimes, as Phantom likes to call it.
Especially if it's like it's a 1-1, but it takes an eternity to end, and like you can just clearly see what's going to happen. You're just like, please save us.
How can a game in which the rounds are over so quickly take so long?
Well, you go to triple overtime. I mean, when it gets to the point that Anthrax is like, please just let me go home, I think it tells you everything.
Oh, yeah. What was that? Sweet baby Jesus, take me now? That's one of the things.
Something like that, yeah.
And he dies. And now I want to die, was one of the other quotes, the Anthrax quotes. So, anyway, I mean, we were referring to the last group stage game between Limitless and it was Generation Digital, where Limitless hugely favored to take it after stomping everyone the whole season, then go into a 1-1 with triple OT. So it was great, 2:00 in the morning stuff. But I think let's start with the first game. It's Bravado versus Vibora. Bravado have looked like they're odds on to take this tournament since season 1. They took season 1, of course, and all the sweet monies. We're talking about a total prize pool between both seasons of 2 million rand. I'm not quite sure right now what the prize distribution exactly is, but the teams all got paid for the online group stages, and then there's even more money online at stake for the offline part of it.
The offline prize pool is 46 and a bit in dollars.
Yeah.
And then, as far as I know, the winners should get about half of that. So converted really inaccurately, and you're probably going to get to around about, I'd say, in the region of 300 plus for first place.
300, 350, somewhere around there.
Something like that.
A lot of money. It's just a lot of money. It is the richest competition in African CSGO by a little bit of a margin. So definitely a lot of money given away over the 2 seasons. And I think for Bravado, they've obviously benefited quite well from that, winning the group stages this season, coming second last time in the group stages, and then, of course, winning the final versus Energy in season one. Now their hurdle at the first semi-final at 11 o'clock on Friday is Vibora. Vibora finished second, but they were entirely unconvincing.
Shaky. Yeah, very, very shaky team. Start of the season looked great. End of the season was just like, I mean, I think we were expecting them to like qualify second place, 3 weeks in a row or something. We're like, all they need to do is win a game. It's like, nope. Okay, next week. Okay, all they need to do is win a game.
It's a draw.
Nope.
Over and
like,
over again.
Okay, guys, please just do us a favor and win 2 games back to back. Gets to the final day, and I think they were playing against. I think they started against teams that actually ended up higher in the league, and then by the end they just could not buy a 2-game streak. It just wasn't possible. Like they would have one good game, one abortion of a game, and it just constantly went on like that. So they certainly do look more tactical than Limitless, but I think the difference in like their ultra fraggers in John QT and what's the other player now? Forget for the life of me what his name is, but
you're asking hard questions. It's late at night. I can't remember either.
No, the problem is I think a minor drop off in those two is going to massively change how they play, and that's just my concern. Is like they set them up well, but it still comes down to those two have to go ultra beast mode to get them a win, which is why I'm worried. And their map pool doesn't look fantastic either. So
yeah, that is definitely a worry. I mean, we saw a lot of the North African teams sort of gravitating to a pool of 4 maps when, of course, there are 7 in the pool. So, I mean, and they're no exception to that as well. Definitely favoring cash a lot, and that's the one map where they wrecked Limitless quite comprehensively. It's, they were doing some rather interesting stuff on A side, playing incredibly fast as well.
The problem was Limitless showed themselves to be fairly poor at cash in the end for a team that stacked with aimers as well. So.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Of course, let me actually look at the lineup here of our friends from North Africa. John QT is the guy that you mentioned. He's definitely a hard fragger, and he was super exciting the first few weeks. Seemed to tail off a little bit towards the end of the tournament. We also had Hacks, who looked pretty good at times. Looked like the supporting cast member, but towards the end of the season, again, looked a little bit less steady. And it's really been Crystalzik, really Crystal, who's been the guy with the AWP, who's been contributing well. So, and also John QT will AWP on CT side, which is something that we do see with a lot of the star players and on the North African teams. They'll play a very aggressive rifle roll on T and then switch to the AWP on CT. So, yeah, I think those two are the key players there for Vibora.
Yeah, no, they definitely are. I think if those two don't do a lot of work with the amount of setup that they get, I can't see them beating BVD. BVD has a scary couple of players on their lineup. Sonics looked good on LAN. Detrony's got that old fire back, and if they can get a solid performance out of JT and Fady, I think they will be well set to win that series. And I think their map pool is probably better. It lines up better against Vibora.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I think for them, the map pool is definitely where they could win this game. The problem for them is that they like to play cash, and I hope for all that is good and holy, please do not play cash against Vibora.
They've been changing it. I mean, they actually haven't gone to cash all that often, and when they have, they've largely avoided it. I mean, I can just check the stats quickly. VVD has played cash. No, they played cash 4 times this season. They've won it 3 times.
Well, that's in finals, yes?
No, that was in season 2. In finals, they have played cash. They could have played it 3 times. They only played it once and lost to EN.
Okay, well that is interesting. Actually, it is a little downturn in their use of the map because they were really prolific on it mid-year and early this year.
They've actually gravitated more towards Inferno Mirage. So, I mean, again, that's pretty much right up the alley of North Africans. But I think moving away from cash probably a good thing for BVD, even though they are still very, very strong on it.
Yeah, I think they could win. It's just I think maybe the thing that also bears a little bit discussion here is that the North African play style across the board with the teams has always been fast. I mean, we've seen it slow down a little bit in recent weeks as the teams have started to gel a little bit more and play a little bit more tactically, but they just in general have insane firepower in those players, insane aimers, and they play quickly. Whereas I mean, Bravado and Energy as well tend to play really slow defaults, very passive defaults on either side of the map, aside from usually like a site push on CT. So it's almost like their styles are as contrasting as could really possibly be.
Yeah, that definitely is the case. Like BVD is a lot more passive than the North Africans, and I think it's going to play well. My biggest worry is just like I think they've got Mirage down pat. If Vibora goes to Mirage, I think BVD will probably slam them on it. My biggest worry, I think, is Inferno. Like BVD's won all the games that they played on Inferno in finals this year. I just don't know. Like Inferno can be one of those buggers. Like even the international teams haven't really figured it out as yet.
Also, let's also put out there that John QT, when we've seen him on Inferno, has been a literal like living god. Like he's just like gone Super Saiyan. You can see all the lightning flying out of his hair while he's just like wrecking fools everywhere. It's just it seems to be his map. Which is a little worrying, I guess, if they end up on it. So let's see. I mean, Bravado, I guess, could also try to throw a spanner in the works by putting out an overpass or something, but the North Africans like to ban it. So
no, they won't get overpass. North Africans don't play overpasses almost as a rule of thumb.
Yeah, that's just why
train.
I say,
I think if BVD can get it to train, they have a reasonable shot.
and Vibora would actually play train, maybe.
Yeah,
we have seen them on it.
I think train is a map that'll suit BVD style. I think if they can get to that, I'm thinking just knowing how the play comes out, probably something like Inferno Mirage Train. I think BVD has a good idea on, or has a good chance on those maps. Cobble, perhaps, although their Cobble hasn't looked as smashing as it has previously. And Cash, they just tend to avoid it in finals, especially as early games. Like maybe as a decider, they'll keep it there, but in general, they just avoid it.
Yeah, well, semi-final to me, it's got Bravado written all over it, despite the obvious red flags of danger from Vibora's side. So I'd call it Bravado. I think you're thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I think BVD's odds on, but Vibora does have a chance if they can get their heavy fraggers early.
Well, look, I mean, if there's a Cash and an Inferno in the map pool, they could win a best of three. So let's see what BVD decide to do with that. So I mean, it is a potential banana peel for them, but they should have the experience from all their many knockout stages CS that they've played this year and in the last few years, as well as their overseas travels. They know what they need to do. They should have done the research, so they should have this one.
Yeah.
So
I think they definitely will. Yeah.
Yeah, so moving over to the other semi-final, which will be, I think, 2 o'clock on Friday. I should know, I'm casting it, but yeah, it's 2 o'clock if I recall correctly. So that's Energy versus Limitless, and I think this one has the potential to be really close and possibly even go the North Africans' way.
This might actually have the potential to be the best game of the entire weekend. Like, I think it might even be better than the final. If the final, I think, given the nature of the teams, it could end up being a blowout. I think Energy versus Limitless is going to be a really, really interesting game. It's a game I'm really interested in watching because I think Energy is they're more structured by far than Limitless, but they've had their issues of late. I think Energy 2 months ago, I would have said and I would be odds on betting them to be better than Limitless. But just of late, it just seems like the whole team is in a funk. It's like it's not that they're playing badly; it's just they're not playing as well as we've seen them before. So it is on LAN again. It's going to change, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we take a lot of this from online results, but we have collated the results from pretty much the VS Masters LAN in July all the way to present, as well as the online finals. And of course, in the last 2 months, there only has been online, so it's a little tough to say, but BVD has trounced Energy pretty comprehensively. The last while they did share maps, of course, in ESL Africa the other night, 2 weeks back. But
There's a BVD with TC and for JT though, so
Yeah, I mean, you've got to make allowances for that. And of course, then the victory at ESWC, Sonic was really sick and still went Super Saiyan despite being really sick. I mean, he had one bad map, and then from there, I think it was 12 kills on Cash, and then from there he was in the 30s. So
yeah, something like that.
I think he ended on 32 on Train, and they lost Train. So there are some I think asterisks that we need to put on Energy's performances, and when they've won in those sorts of situations, because BVD wasn't necessarily at their very best. But Energy really did look good 2 months ago. I mean, they looked
Yeah.
absolutely dominant, and they looked to me like the team that was going to overtake Bravado. And what we've seen of late has been a little disappointing in that it hasn't been replicating quite that level. And one of the players that we've seen it's fallen off quite a bit is Domster.
Yeah, again, like it's not that he like this is the whole thing. It's like it's not that they're playing badly, it's that if you looked at them 2 months ago, it's like, okay, where's this Domster that we saw a while ago? He looked fantastic. Black Poison pitched up really big at ESWC, which was wonderful to see because I think he is going to be. I think those two, Domster and Black Poison, are going to be the guys that really carry the major weight on the team. And then they're going to just have to hope that Tukbok doesn't have a nightmare, because at the moment his land stats have looked fairly terrible when they're under the cosh. So
Yeah.
I think if energy can raise their ceiling, raise their floor, and their ceiling can go back to what it was, I think energy looks a lot better. I'm just concerned by, like, I don't know if they're going to be able to handle the speed at which the North Africans appear to play on land.
Yeah, I mean, it's also a question of, especially if we look at a map like Cash, for instance, which is probably going to get played here more than likely. The way Energy you play the map, if we compare it to like a Limitless or a Vibora, the speed is in completely a different league. It's, sitting around being passive until 30 seconds and then executing from there, doing a few probes throughout the map, but not really risking too much. And to me, the Energy playstyle is a very safe playstyle. They do set themselves up well to not fail, but the North Africans seem to have this mindset of taking risks to gain rewards, so they'll tend to do risky things to actually try to gain an advantage, whereas you see Energy play the percentages more, try to be a little bit more passive and not lose a man before they execute on a site. And I think the North African mindset, the limitless mindset of getting in your face early round, could really be the undoing for Energy.
Yeah, I think the North Africans also playing better in those broken situations, in like the 2v3s and the 3v3s, that type of thing. I think they play better in that situation, since because they have a lack of tactics. It almost seems as though they've defaulted to better team play.
Yeah, and I mean it is almost that sort of I don't know, 2 years ago Fnatic or Envious kind of approach, in that they play off each other rather than trying to do anything massively tactical. Don't mistake the fact, viewers, if you think I'm trying to say that they're as good as those teams. Of course they're not. We're not crazy, but it's in that vein of I'm going into the site, come with me, sort of thing,
Yeah.
as opposed to this sort of overarching thoughts of we're going to fake here, we're going to probe here, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, misdirection, throw nades, not execute there, then actually double fake, we go back there. They don't do that. They commit to a site and they go for it and they pound it. And the speed that they do it at, the quality of the entry fragging as well, is like that can't be overstated.
Yeah. That is the one thing that North Africans seem to have, is they seem to have crazy entry fraggers, and that's just what I'm worried about. Is that, like, I don't know if Energy's played a team that gets that hype, like ultra aggressive in their face. I mean, the players have all obviously been to ESWC or ESG last year, so like some of them will certainly have an idea of what kind of thing is coming, but I don't know. It just I don't know if the team structure at the moment is really set up to take these 1v1s, because you don't really want to get into aim deals with, especially Limitless. They look like a team with crazy amounts of aim, and I think getting into protracted aim deals with them is just going to end up getting you wrecked.
Yeah, that could be the case. I mean, what we also got to mention with these North African teams is they can play on 50 or 60 ping to Europe. So they do play FPL and Rank S and these sorts of things with the good players in Europe. So that exposure is something we don't have, and that's where it's also a little worrying because it's just again the quality of the fraggers that they have. Keops is the entry fragger in the mold of somebody like Apex, who will get you 2 kills before he dies, as opposed to just running in and dying instantly and calling out where they are. I mean, he's really dangerous.
Yeah, he is really dangerous, but I mean, like Apex, he has the ability to go missing.
True
And
that. We
that's just
we
the
saw
thing
that the
that
other day.
yeah, that's just the thing with the North Africans is they're going to have to make absolutely friggin' certain that they don't go missing.
Yes, I mean, for them, they've got a bunch of strong performers. They've got Remind, who's a very experienced player internationally, having played a lot of World Championship, ESWC stuff, WSG, TWC, all of those events. He's been in national teams and as well as some European stuff. Robin, also a similar story for him as well. A good supportive element in the team, the guy who tends to be flashing the other guys in and setting them up, but also insane. And we've got Lynn as well, who's rather crazy with the AWP. I mean, some of the aggression running through mollies and stuff with the AWP to get a kill. He's pretty dangerous. We've mentioned Keops, and then there's Jado, who looks to me to be a really stable fragger. Who tends to hit his 20 every map.
Yeah. So I mean, like that's just the concern is that like, I mean, obviously we've collated some of the stats, and if you look at the stats, it does look as though the North Africans, I think their level across the board is a little bit higher than some of the South African teams, but they also have that sink or swim nature where if things go badly, they go very badly, especially for Limitless. Like Limitless
Yes.
looks like gods, and then when they don't have a good game, they get like slaughtered. So I think Energy certainly has a possibility to win against Limitless. It's just my concern is I think mostly around the fact that Energy plays more into Limitless's map pool than BVD would, and I think Limitless's fragging power at the moment just looks a lot more solid than Energy. Again, all of this is online, so it's hard to say. But
What do we know? Spin the wheel of fortune, but I mean that's the facts that we have. So
yeah,
yeah, I mean Limitless also picked up the African North African Cyber League as well recently against Fractals. I mean Fractals are one of the teams I wish had actually made it to the final stage
yeah,
because they started slow in the competition and then looked amazing towards the later stages and just didn't make it. So definitely a strong opponent to put down, and that was of course on land. So Limitless do have the experience. It's a UK org as well. They also have a French team, interestingly enough, as well. So can definitely see that connection. I know a few of the players also some time in the year also live in France as well. So they've got all that international exposure that we lack a little bit as South Africans. And I'm a little worried about them. I do want Energy to win, and I do think Energy could win. To me, the win condition for Energy is they need to hurt the money of Limitless, particularly CT side, completely limit them Limitless so that they're
yeah,
not able to buy, because they do have this tendency, as you say, when they lose, it's a blowout and it spirals because they force buy too much. So it's possible if Energy can put their finances under pressure and just keep them in that cycle, they'll put themselves down essentially. But the problem is putting them in that cycle because they're going to keep force buying.
yeah. I mean, that basically tells you that Flexi's got a big job to do, especially on the T side. He's going to be the primary entry fragger. He's going to have to do a lot of the work there. Domster's going to definitely have to pitch up. He hasn't been the same Domster that we saw earlier this year, and I think Black Poison. I think between those three, if those three can fire, I think Energy is well sorted to knocking over Limitless.
Yeah, and by the other token, if we look at it from the Limitless side, to me the win condition is Keops getting his entries, and Lin actually getting rolling on the AWP nicely, and then just one of the other three showing up, and that's pretty much them pretty well set. Because again, between the other three, between Jada, Robin, and Remind, all three of them have the ability to get 30 kills if they want to. It's just really about getting into the right position to do that. So for them, there's fragging power across the board, and as you said, a little bit more possibly than Energy, but at the same time, they don't have the depth of tactics. So for them, it's going to be about being explosive, getting in Energy's face, and setting them back early in the game.
Yeah. I think also Energy, much like BVD and Limitless, actually, they all like to force buy.
True
So
that.
if you can crack Energy's money, especially on CT side, I think you have a reasonable shot at running up a score against them.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. It's interesting that Vibora don't actually do that, which is the one outlier, I guess, in North African CS. They're the only team we've really seen. Oh wait, and Tunisia with Love as well don't really
Yeah,
fall into that trap. But all of the rest of them that we've seen are just like force buying demons. What is saving? Who knows?
it's the thing that others do.
The thing that others do. Yeah, spoken like a
Yeah.
true envious player from 2015, or a phase player from 6 months
2016
ago,
or 2017.
or any time.
Yeah, pretty much any French player except an existence-led lineup.
The Frenchies like to force buy. I mean, we're seeing the connection here. Players living in France, playing FPL
Yeah,
in France. I mean, we're seeing the connection here between Limitless and France. So I guess we'll have to see.
yeah.
So I mean, what you're thinking there is Limitless when I kind of think Limitless should take this as well, but I'm going to be patriotic and say Energy because I'd like them to recapture some of that magic from 2 months ago. So I mean, I think we both agreed that Bravado is going to take it. It's just this game and this Energy Limitless game, as you said, is the most exciting game of the tournament. I'm going to be casting it, yes. So I'm really, really keen for that. I know Barry's also really keen for it as well.
Yeah, no. I mean, the thing is, like, the nice thing and the good, like, the nice thing and the bad thing at the same time, almost you could say, is that, like, they basically share very much a map pool, and like that means that we're going to be seeing them on their best map. So we're going to see, who's the actual better team. And from what we know of Limitless, I just think the maps that they share with Energy, they've looked stronger, and that's just my concern.
Yeah, that is a little concerning. I know Wham and the boys will be doing a lot of research for Energy, but equally the Limitless guys will be doing their due diligence as well. So I guess the preparation is going to be a major factor in this as well as the fragging on the day. So we will see how it all shakes out on Friday, and that's going to be super exciting. I'm actually now getting a little bit excited about it. I tend not to gush, but I'll maybe gush a little bit here. But potential final then Bravado versus pretty much whoever makes it here. You're saying Limitless, I'm saying Energy, but either way, it's going to be a classic final. I think if it ends up Bravado versus Energy, I'd still say Bravado, and if it ends up Bravado versus Limitless, I'd be a little bit more confused as to which way it's gonna go.
Well, I mean, it's gonna. I think it depends on what Limitless looks like if they beat Energy. Um, because of the nature of that match, I think whoever comes out of that match is really we'll know a better idea, because BVD have been together a while. We sort of know what to expect from them. With Energy on sort of like a bit of a dip, I think we'll have a better idea of when they walk out there. Like, it's if Black Poison is firing fantastic, then we know we're gonna stand. If Lexi's having a good tournament, I think we'll know a little bit more. Like we can bank on things. But right now, because Energy versus Limitless is such an unknown, I think it's really going to change how we look at it.
Yeah, and I think something we need to also just put out here is that any of these four teams could even win this tournament. It's not one of those tournaments really where I look at it and go like, there's no way in a million years that even Vibora couldn't actually have that crazy performance, because we know if John QT has his game on, then everything on the server dies that walks near him or like looks in his direction. So it's the teams are that good and the players are that good that any of these teams can win. I mean, just as easily Energy could win the tournament, and as you said, we try to lay out the win conditions for these teams. So I mean, as a viewer, oh, did I just lose you there for a sec? Okay,
No.
it came back weirdly. It like disappeared, went black, and then it came back. So we got you back there. But I think we outlined the win conditions for your viewers, so you guys should have a pretty good sort of idea of what it'll take for any of these teams to actually beat their opponents on the day. And if it comes to the final, it's going to be from my side. I think the map pool is going to play a big part, and that's where I think maybe if it is a South African versus North African final in a best of five, I think the South African teams have the edge in map pool.
It looks like it, yeah. I mean, that little bit of a toss in there in the last game of the season with Limitless willing to play overpass, I think maybe throws a little bit of a wheel in the or
Spanner in the
throws
works.
Yeah, spanner in the works.
A wheel in the spokes. The spokes in the
Yeah.
wheel.
So, but and that's just the thing. Like that's what makes me, I think, tip it in that NG Limitless match is that overpass game. Just the mere fact that Limitless was willing to play it at that point in the season. I think it just puts that hint of doubt in my mind. And like the problem is Energy loves Mirage, right? And they just I don't know, like I haven't been feeling their Mirage all season.
Yeah, and we
So
know what Limitless can do on Mirage, so it's a scary one, man. But yeah, I think South African teams, whichever one, if it becomes like a, even weirdly, I don't think this is likely, but an Energy versus Vibora final or something, Energy would have the map pull over Vibora. But
yeah,
if it's a Bravado versus Limitless, Bravado definitely going to have the map pull over them. But as you say, the one little element of doubt is that overpass thing, just how much work has Limitless been putting in, because of course they are playing in other leagues as well.
yeah.
So
So
a lot of unknowns here, a lot of excitement, and a lot to think about. So definitely going to be going into the weekend with, well, a healthy dose of optimism for the South African teams, but also quite a bit of lingering doubt, and maybe even a little bit of fear about what those North African teams are going to do.
yeah, like it's going to be a very, very interesting one because I mean the problem is also that we don't have a lot of info on the North Africans.
Yeah, very very
We
tough
have
to say.
season 2, which is pure online. We have a couple of other LAN results that we know of, but we don't know much else. So yeah, I mean, going on a wing and a prayer, flying by the seat of our pants.
Yeah, and then a massive ream of a spreadsheet with all the energy provider stuff because there's so much information available. Not easy to
Yeah,
get, but it's time consuming and all that, but it is there. So the other thing to just maybe point out if anybody from North Africa is checking this out, Atiaz, who's one of the North African analysts, is actually coming down for the LAN, so he's going to be able to provide a little bit more information for us. We'd actually hoped to have him on the show, but he's only coming in on the night that we're recording this, so he's not, unfortunately not available yet. So not able to get the man on, but hopefully maybe we'll catch him after the LAN. Maybe I'll put him on a video or something and chat with him a bit. But overall, it's going to be a great tournament. You've got some great casters, some great desk talent as well, and we've also got Pansy, which is going to be super exciting. And the overarching thing here is this is about being the champion of Africa. Who is the best in Africa? And this is something that we've never had in CS or any other esport really in South Africa, aside from Hearthstone, which is also going to be happening at the same time at the Kwese ESL finals there as well. Of course, we don't care about card games, but that's another thing where you getting to determine the champion of Africa. So it's all about that. There's a lot of money involved, but I don't think any of the teams are really focused on that. They're focused on being the continental champion.
yeah. I mean, sweet, sweet dollar at the end of the day as well. So
it's just the cherry on top, and beautiful stage. I've seen a few pics you have as well. I'm just getting so excited. I'm starting to gush now.
Beautiful trophy as well.
Oh yes, this is true. Good luck getting it through customs if a North African team does win it, but we'll say that. But yeah,
it's gonna be great fun. It's definitely gonna be great fun. So
yeah.
Best of luck to all the teams.
Definitely, best of luck to all the teams, to Bravado, to Vibora, to Energy, to Limitless. Of course, as South Africans, we want to see our South African boys do well. But I mean, if you're a North African supporter, definitely drop a comment about who you're supporting and why you think they're going to win. We're really excited to watch it, and I hope you're really excited to watch it too. It's going to be on twitch.tv/ESL_CSGO_Africa. Nice long.
Yeah, quite a mouthful.
I'm glad I remembered it. I'm going to put it in the comments.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe put it in a little box.
Yeah, it'll be in the description below, so you can definitely find it. It'll be on HLTV as well. There's already been an announcement article, and it'll be on the day, so we'll get access to some really nice HLTV stats as well. So lots to be excited about, and there's a show match on Sunday. Yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
That should be Gucci. I'm really excited. Prof is actually looking mildly optimistic, maybe even a hint of a smile occasionally. So that means literally inside he's bursting. He's so excited. But this is how excited Prof gets.
We'll see. We'll see.
Cool, man. Well, this has been CSGO Deeper, sponsored by Aperture PC. And we do appreciate their patronage, as do we appreciate yours. Thanks for watching, and I hope you tune in for the ESL Africa finals. We're looking forward to it, and we hope you are too. See you around, guys.
Cheers.